Hi, my name is Julia Carr, and this is my case study presentation number 1. My client is a 12-year-old male diagnosed with ASD and with ADD. He's in a general admission program at school. He comes from a split household. A majority of the time is spent with dad and stepmom, some of the time spent at mom's house. He has a younger brother who is severely impacted by autism. So the brother takes up a lot of the parent's time and energy. The behaviors that we targeted during ABA were tantrums, refusals, and negative talk. The primary behavior of concern was negative talk. With this client, it presented a statement such as, "I can't do this. I'm sorry you're so upset with me. We can never do this ever again. I know that you don't love me," and then escalated to statements of self-harm and suicide at times. What led to this problem behavior? So at school, when the client engaged in the negative talk, the teacher would lessen the workload, remove demands altogether, or allow the client to take a break. This would be negative reinforcement. So removing demands, which would increase the likelihood of behaving that way in the future. And at home, when the client used negative talk, the parents would both come in the room. If they were home, either one would come in the room if they were not both home. And they would provide a lot of attention. They would talk to the client. It would sometimes even escalate into arguing. They could spend up to 30, 45 minutes, an hour just talking, arguing, all attention being provided on the client. So this would be positive reinforcement. They're all putting all of their attention into him. And then sometimes, not as frequently, they would remove demands. So a lot of it started with he didn't like making lunch. So, dad would make lunch instead of him making lunch. They would go out and buy lunch, things like that. My company, which would be negative reinforcement. They're removing that expectation from him. My company that I currently work for doesn't do punishment, or rarely does punishment, so we didn't use it. We didn't see it being implemented from parent reports. We don't think they used any punishment procedures with them. For assessing the problem behavior, we conducted parent interviews. We interviewed his teacher. We did a lot of observation and recorded ABC data on almost everything that we were observing. The intervention and motivating operations. So after a few weeks of working at school, we realized the client really only used negative talk when he needed help with something or was getting overwhelmed with the schoolwork. And since he had ADD, he would get really distracted easily. So we made this self-monitoring form, which was almost kind of a combination of task analysis as well. He would start with the first one. What you see there is I have only my work on my desk. Then I start my work within 15 minutes of getting instructions. I'm reading questions, I'm writing the answers down, and then I'm asking for help when I need it. So it's kind of telling him on what the steps he should be doing. And then he's also, he's circling yes for these. He's working towards earning money, earning special time spent with family. So he really liked going to get dinner just with him and his parents, not his brother, going on like a special walk, getting a special thing. So he got to pick what he wanted to earn. And this form changed a lot throughout the semester. We didn't start with it quite being a task analysis like this. We started more with just like, I'm making positive statements and I'm asking for help. But then we realized that he was needing a ton of prompting to even get his work on his desk. And then we also had to change the reinforcers a lot. We started with just earning money, but then he would say, "Oh, I don't want to earn money this week." And he would just not do schoolwork. So we had to change that to his spending time with his stepmom. He absolutely adores his stepmom. He's like, she is his best friend. He wants to spend all of his time with her. So that was what was extremely motivating to him. And he would get motivated if we were like, "Hey, like you are working to go eat pizza out with stepmom tonight." And he would immediately refocus and start working again. So after a few weeks at school, the negative talk was non-existent. Like we didn't see any negative talk. We saw a lot of other behaviors like refusal, task avoidance, but the negative talk was to a zero, not any instances at all. At home, we saw much more negative talk. So at mom's house, there was zero, but at dad's house, where the stepmom and dad were, we saw a ton. We realized that he liked any sort of attention from them, but I mean, he loved positive attention, but he was like, he would get negative attention by engaging in negative talk. He would say all these things, the parents would come up, provide attention for a long time. So we prompted him to initially ask for help. So he starts engaging in negative talk. It's like, oh, hey, would you like help with this? Which is functional communication, but then it's a positive way to have an interaction with the stepmom. Like she can help him cook lunch. She can help him do this. She can say, oh, let Julie help you with that in 15 minutes. I'll come up and we can hang out when you get it done. But if he continued with the negative talk, we started just validating his feelings, but didn't respond to the content of the conversation. So he would engage in all the negative talk. He would say, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. That seems really hard. Let me know when I can help you or how I can help you. Then wouldn't make any other statements about his negative talk. We would just nod, say, I'm sorry you feel that way, and prompt him to ask for help or to take the help. And this decreased the talk because he realized that he could functionally ask for attention, and we would provide more attention with him functionally asking, because we could come hang out, we can go on a walk, we can do things like that. The stepmom also, on top of this, added making more time in her schedule to devote to him. So he would just go when they had to go to the grocery store. They would go together. They would go on walks together, which provided more positive attention so that he wasn't looking for that negative attention anymore. For reinforcement, we mostly use continuous reinforcement. Then towards the end, because we're phasing out of his therapy now, we only have a couple weeks left, I started using variable reinforcement. I did not use a strict schedule for variable reinforcement. We just would kind of see how the day was going. Like I would verbally praise sometimes, he would get extension sometimes, I would not praise sometimes. Just depended on the day, but we didn't have a specific schedule for the variable reinforcement. For generalization and maintenance, we did a ton of parent training. Parents were always involved. We did parent training outside. We did role play with the parents. The negative talk was really only happening at school and at dad's house. There was none at mom's house. So it was really already just generalizing to the dad's house in the first place. For maintenance, the parents were using these same strategies outside of session. So it was getting, he was never taking a break of like, I'm only at therapy 20 hours a week. He's only getting these, programs worked on 20 hours a week. The parents were able to utilize it, all day, every day, even when I wasn't there, which was really amazing. That they took a lot of time to learn and to help. The outcome of the intervention, he had, I'm still with him now. We end in 2 weeks. He's at almost zero negative talk. And when he does do negative talk, we just let him talk through it for a minute. He is 12. Things are negative. He doesn't want to do school. That's understandable. So we're at more age-appropriate levels of the negative talk. We haven't had any instances of the extreme, like self-harm talk in months. So it's been very effective. The family is so involved, which is always so amazing to see. And he's had such huge progress, which is very exciting. And that's the end. Thank you very much.